Aloha, friends and neighbors. Rollin Frost here, coming from the Kona coast to the Big Island of Hawaii. No, my hands aren't shaking like that. I put that label on there on a table that had all these little bumps in it and didn't notice it too much at the time. Anyway, we're going to cover the last week in May 2015 for you. I'm back here on the 11th of May doing this show. Yes, I have to do them early to get them into the TV stations. Anyway, we're going to do the sky mirror here first. There's a lot of amazing things are happening still. It's the spirit of the Aquarian age is kicking pretty strong still. And I want to talk about a few of those things. But first things first, what's coming up for you in the next week? I must remember to put some paper underneath this next time I work on that table. Well, I got a chart drawn up for you. Here it is. Now you're starting to get used to these charts now. It should be noticeable that here the Sun is opposing Saturn. Now this is quite exact. The Sun's going from 1 degree to 11. So where you are, it's at 0 degrees of Gemini. Saturn's here at 1. The Sun is opposing Saturn. And we're going to talk about that a lot today. Saturn is the managers, the CEOs, the politicians, the guys in the suits, the corporate people. And nobody's liking this, what's going on in the world, and we'll get to more of that later. Here's the Uranus squaring Pluto. Now we had a lunation that said power to Pluto. You know, but Uranus is still strong because Jupiter trined Uranus. And Mercury here, magical time you're sitting on, really magical time. See, here's Mercury at 13 degrees of Gemini, and it just stopped there. It's going backwards now, back to 8 Gemini. But at 13, it's sextiling Jupiter, and it's sextiling Uranus. Gee, I didn't draw that in. Wait a minute. I mean, this sextile is very important. Uranus is the planet of the Aquarian age, the common sense that, you know, we don't need to be governed. We all have common sense. Jupiter is the planet of wisdom, earthly, you know, aha, now I see it clear. And to have these two in trine is a great thing. We finally get some help for the Uranus part of our lives. That's astrology, by the way. Science. The Sun is going to move from the opposition to Saturn to the end of your next week, the square to Neptune. You're not going to like Neptune much. The priest, artist, doctor, the fishy stuff, the colorful stuff, the oil, the gas, the fracking, the chemicals. Anyway. Notice that Mars is joined this little group. Mars is going from 7 to 14 Gemini. So as Mars moves up and hits 14, you know, towards the end of next week, it's going to sextile Jupiter and sextile Uranus. Of course, anything hits this 1 or 2 degree area. In fact, even Mars opposing Saturn. But when they hit 10 degrees, you know, then Mars squares Neptune. You're going to get more of these big oil fires, railroads crashing when they're full of oil. Oil from the tar sands of Alberta that you shouldn't even be using. Yucky oil. Upshot is Neptune is in everybody's face. Now the Sun will be squaring Neptune about 10 days from now, from where you are, and you're not going to like Neptune much either. These are the chemical companies. Here's Monsanto and Roundup. More on that in a little bit. GMOs. A lot of fishy stuff going on with chemistry, doctors and drugs. So all this is coming to a kind of a head when we're not liking the Neptune. We start off saying, the heck with the rules and regulations. Who are these people that make laws and expect us to go 10 miles an hour but not 11? You know, this whole Saturn thing is out of hand. Government is out of hand. The guys that I can't understand what they're doing, lots of them. Anyway, we start off that way, and we wind up at the end of your next week not liking Neptune, the chemical companies, the oil companies, the privileged peoples, the PhDs and doctors. Look out. So, one big square there, one opposition there. Lastly, here's poor Venus, the sweet sister. She's in Cancer. She's really sweet in Cancer. Loving and sexy and peaceful and calm and beautiful. Venus on the half shell. You know. So what's happening? She's got an opposition to Pluto. It's going on right now for you as you watch the show. And so you're having trouble with Venus. The police came and arrested her. Eek. And she has more trouble 2-3 days up the road because she squares Uranus. And there's interruptions. And so watch the little sisters. Don't expect your love life, sex life, sweets, orgasms, all those goodies. Don't expect them to go well. They're not. And the comfort zone is disappeared on you yesterday, and it'll stay that way for 3-4 days at least, due to Venus's movement from, you know, the opposition to Pluto where you're at, the square to Uranus 19. It's about 4 days at least, and there'll be some orb on either side. So the good side of this is your mind, communications, the Aquarian spirit's alive, join a union. Uranus is the one thing that really gets in the way of these government guys. Power corrupts, huh? Who's watching them? Well, it used to be the crusading newspaper. Now it's the little phone in your own hand. Okay, details, here they are. We're going to run the moon around the edge of this planetary pattern, and as it makes angles to these different bodies, these different people, these are people here. Here's Saturn the judge. You know, here's the Supreme Court Judge Saturn, and he's going to do something you are not going to like. It's happening right now for you. Here's Pluto, the policeman. Here's Neptune, the priest, artist, doctor. Here's Uranus, the rebel and the union guy, the scientist. Here's Jupiter, the wise man, the lawyer, professor. These are people. When you watch Ancient Aliens on TV, all those, they call them aliens, gods. These are the ancients. Didn't confuse all these other people, you know, with the God as the Father. Yeah. You still got a chance to get into that a little bit. Some of you, I'll hit on that too. Gee, maybe I should do that now. Wait a minute. Okay, here's my list. You're watching this show on the 21st or 22nd, huh? So you guys on the Big Island kind of, went past it a day. But here you are on Maui on the 24th, 12/24. What's this? No shadow time. Father comes and sits with you. Be by yourself. Talk out loud to Father, the God. The ancients were not confused about this. They didn't have multiple gods. That's a line of crap from the moderns. The Jews, the Muslims, the Christians, one God only. Give me a break. The 25th, you're in Molokai, and the 26th, Lae, and here in Honolulu, you're here on the 27th, 12:29 p.m. The sun comes to no shadow, and Father comes to talk to you. He'll be there for 10-15 minutes at least. So start a few minutes early and stick it out for a little bit. Wahiwa, May 28th, 12:31 p.m. On Kauai, Kaloa, Lahui, May 31st, 12:35 p.m. No, this is 12:34 p.m. Well, it's 1 minute difference. Anyway, you want to start 5-10 minutes early. And Kapa'a, June 1st. These are the times, once a year, when the sun comes to the top exactly and makes no shadow. And you get a chance the communications with Father opens right up. Okay, religion, huh? What a strange thing. We got the moon going around the chart here, and you already had a new moon at 28 Taurus that opposed Saturn, and so you got a general feeling for a month that you don't like Saturn much. Yes. Who made that law? What regulation? So you're in the Venus zone early Thursday morning. There's Venus. The moon's going by Venus. Oh, nice. Thursday morning. Oh, most of you get the show Thursday night. Anyway, late Thursday night, early Friday morning, here's a nice sextile to the sun. And it's quite nice. This is a good, you'll get ambitious. Yes, ambition is good. And there's a trine to Saturn. So you can kind of get some of your feelings of not liking the governors, the regulations. And I heard one politician, she said she defended her actions and said, this is a representative democracy. You elect these representatives and then they vote for you. I'm not sure I like that. They're not voting for me. Anyway, you can reconcile some of these problems you have in timing and money and physical things, and management problems get resolved Friday morning. Huh? Not bad. Moon's in Cancer. Goes into Leo here in the middle of the day, and things change. And by golly, the moon in Leo is nice. You know, here's a sextile to Mars. That's early Saturday morning. Get up and fix something. Get physical. Fix any little thing. Yes, the physical world. It's nice. There's Mars starting off a nice day for you. There's Mercury, you know, before lunch, saying, let's talk it out. Wise things are going on. Very wise things. The moon goes by Jupiter here. Nice. I mean, this is an extraordinary lineup. And here's the trick about this. This is 2 a.m. in the morning, Hawaii, 2 a.m. in the morning here. So when you look at the middle of this, it's 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So the moon goes by Jupiter more like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. By the time you get to the middle of the day, it's already trining Uranus here, which is, gee, look at that ink smear there. It's funny when you draw these things and then you put them on a screen and they get really big and then you see all the little imperfections. Well, what a day, Saturday. You know, set it aside for studies and wisdom and knowing who your brother is. And what happened to all those unions we used to belong to? You go to a union meeting? No, you go to a church. No, go to a union meeting. Uranus, union meeting. Neptune, church. Sunday, you're still getting over the beautiful things you learned on Saturday, the 23rd. And on Sunday, it's a beautiful day. It's very nice. There's a square to the new moon about dinner time here after dinner, so it gets a little shaky in late afternoon as the moon gets to late Leo, but no mind. Here on Monday the 25th, the moon's in Virgo, and it totally changes because Virgo squares all of our wonderful Gemini stuff going on here, see? And, excuse me. So here's all the squares. It's cold. I don't like these laws. What are these? You know, I feel closed in. One method that Saturn killed with was to lay people on the ground, put a door on top and just pile rocks on them, and slowly the weight would increase. That's the feeling of Monday morning. And whatever the things closing in are, is time or money or some physical thing, it stops you from what you want to do, because here's a square to the sun in the middle of the day, or just before lunch, yeah. So, you know, you're not going to get anything done. Go slow. Don't tackle big problems. It gets even worse here. Monday afternoon and evening, here's the square to Uranus and to Mercury. And eek, this also has an opposition to Neptune. What's that? That's at 10 degrees. All of this stuff falls right in here. There's one little section. When is that? Well, if this is 2 p.m., it's probably around 5, 6, 7 p.m. Depends on your location, but that's when it gets really confusing. And the electricity went out. No, there's a bad smell. No, things are going to get nutty here. This could be a tricky Monday. as good as Saturday is here is as bad as Monday is. Tuesday you're recovering. The moon's still in Virgo. There's a nice trine to Pluto in the morning, and you can kind of get some control. And Tuesday night, here's a nice sextile to Venus. There's some sweets and some rest and peace and calm. I have a cardinal outside, comes and tweets in the tree. A red bird, huh? This is a Hawaiian sign for Venus. So I hope you have red birds around you Tuesday afternoon and evening. Wednesday, the moon's still in Virgo. You should be feeling pretty good. It switches into Libra, and when it does, which is just before lunch sometimes, right away you're going to hit the sextile to Saturn. We're getting organized, hooray! Oh, these laws aren't too bad. I can follow the speed limits. The timing, and the numbers. These guys always lay down numbers and put limits and draw limits and lines and fences, and you can have 7 marijuana plants, but not 8. You can go 50 miles an hour, but not 60. So these are nutty. You can get along with them. You feel you grew up with them, didn't you? Ha 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 ha. Wednesday night, you're in the zone here, the sun. I can get stuff done. I'm not being held back too much. And Thursday morning, there's reward. The moon goes by the north node here, this little horseshoe, and there's a lot of nurturing. This is really early Thursday morning. You're talking 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Even then, around breakfast time, here's a nice harmony to Mercury and Mars. The kids are happy. There's physical activity going on. Feels pretty good Thursday morning, but it changes as you get to the end. The middle of Libra, you still have the Uranus-Pluto square, and here it comes. It's shaky. The police are acting out. There's problems. I feel alone and I feel powerless, and there's a whole bunch of glitches going on. Power outages, tornadoes, volcanoes. This is when a lot of it's happening. It disturbs your peace and quiet because Venus got involved. Some little pretty girls are going to be hurt on this bugger. Thursday night, Friday morning, good time to keep your daughter out of harm's way. Not a good time for Venus. So don't expect you're going to have a loving Friday. Friday is Venus's day, Vendrady, but it won't be fun. Nope. Well, finally, moon goes into Scorpio Saturday morning, and it changes. And here's a trine to Neptune Saturday night. Here's some faith in things again. Some compassion comes up Saturday. I had a bad place in that table. Look how shaky that is. I had to fix that. That's terrible. These graphics. Sorry. I apologize. Yeah. So here's a square to Jupiter. We're overdoing it. Even though we're powerful and we think we know what we're doing, we're overdoing it Sunday morning. Sunday night, excuse me. Here's the trine to Venus. Here's some sweets. Here's some rest. Here's some peace and quiet. It's nice you're having it late Sunday, because look what's up ahead here. Here Monday afternoon and evening on June 1st, and the moon's going by Saturn. Eek! Saturn's still there. It doesn't go away. Once they put a law in the books, they never take it off, do they? Ugh. Haha. Paris. The streets were clogged in Paris yesterday. What's that? They're all dressed in the reggae colors. They want marijuana legalized in France. Wonderful stuff. You didn't see it in your media, I'll bet you. It wasn't on TV. I caught this on the internet. It wasn't in the newspapers. It's happening all over the world, folks. I got some really good news for you folks, especially on Maui, about GMOs and Monsanto and stuff. But, I'm thinking about Saturn, the cross of matter over the crescent of people. I used to do Saturn. I was quite a good Saturn, but I'm really an engineer. See this three-sided thing? This is what you use when you do scale drawings. have it around for years. This was actually my father's. He was an engineer. So I'm a scientist at heart, but I used to go around for OSHA and the health department, and people perked right up when they saw me coming because I had authority of some kind. I had laws. I could go measure stuff. Well, I'm sitting at home here, okay? Here comes the story for you folks. I got some good friends on Maui, and I've been glued to my chair here for 5-6 months because of this back injury, and I noticed that every now and then my eyes would burn and my lungs, I'd lose my lungs would get puffy. I'd lose 20-30% my lung capacity. I finally started investigating, and what I found was that just around the big huge wall there's a vacant lot and it's just bare, and I looked closely and all the plants on it were totally dead, and somebody was spraying it. I found out it was a person who owns the vacation rental, or the rental house across the street. Anyway, not knowing their name, I decided I'd had enough. And I knew from my training in toxicology and things that the eye burning was something in the air, and my lungs didn't like it and swole up. I wrote this letter to this person. I live across the street from your rental house. The reason for this letter, however, is about your vacant lot around the corner. The problem is you're spraying. Every time you do it, my eyes burn for at least 3 days. My lungs swell up a bit and I lose breath easily. I estimate 20-30% lung capacity. These symptoms occur with others at our house too. And now a 2-year-old has moved in downstairs, a particularly sweet little girl, niece kind of friend, particularly hazardous for this. So what's going on? Examine the large walls, and from your lot to my house, the walls channel onshore wind. From your vacant lot to my house, bang. The only reason you don't have more complaints is that your lot is surrounded by vacation rentals, and they're only tourists, and they come and go in a few days, and they don't notice that their lungs swell up and their eyes burn. Oh, it's allergies probably. Not the same for us here. I worked at OSHA in the health department for years. I have a Master of Science degree in pollution. I think to protect the baby downstairs at my house, I must ask you to stop spraying toxic stuff. You see, when you spray it in liquid form, it falls to the ground without much getting in your lungs. But when the biocide dries to small crystals, they easily become airborne and fly to me and my family. Let the weeds grow. Nobody cares. Cut them with a weed eater or whatever, but stop polluting my home and family with these nasty molecules. When I went over there, the gardener was there. Wonderful man, and the bird man, his friends call him. And when I told him I wanted this to go to the owner, he said, well, he was told to spray that lot. He said, no, this is terrible, and he weed-eated it a few weeks ago once, but he admitted that there was bad spraying going. So he volunteered. He's taking the thing right to the owner and handing it to the owner personally. Why am I telling you all of this? Well, amazing coincidence happened. I happened to find on the internet that last Friday the World Health Organization came out and said that the glyphosate, what do they call them? Anyway, the Roundup, glyphosate, not only causes cancer, but spontaneous abortions, birth defects, skin diseases, respiratory and neurological disease. This is the World Health Organization saying Roundup is not safe. You shouldn't be using it. What's going on? Well, the whole article is pretty interesting. Comes up in other countries. Here's some of it. 30,000 doctors, want the government to ban all the Monsanto products after recent studies found they likely contain carcinogens. The World Health Organization, wow. The active ingredient in Roundup, glyphosate, is probably carcinogenic. Argentina's union said the people who are working in the fields get skin diseases, respiratory, neurological things, spontaneous abortions, birth defects. This is really nasty. So, you know, these in South America, that's where Monsanto goes to sell their shit right away, you know, and places like Hawaii, and they don't figure they'll get California. They get a lot of protesters, but so upshot is they went to Brazil and Argentina, and those were the workers that really got hurt. That's why I spend most of my life in OSHA, because it's the workers first that get hurt by this stuff. And boy, they did. It's terrible. As you go on with the article, Greenpeace says, yeah, the use of agriculture in Argentina has increased the use of these chemicals by 858%, according to Greenpeace. And there's soy and corn and all these green. It's terrible. Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, you know, all these countries are being polluted, and their workers are being polluted, and now the World Health Organization backs them up. All the doctors in Argentina, 30,000, say we want a short-term ban right away on the use of this. Yeah, Greenpeace says enough is enough. Damaging to both soil and our health. We cannot allow the business interests of a North American multinational to be more important than the health of the people of our region. Government should promote the technology and practices of organic farming to protect growers, consumers, and in the environment. The coordinator of Greenpeace in Argentina said. So, hey folks, I think this is the beginning of the end. If Roundup is banned, all the GMO stuff is all set up by these evil chemists with all their patented seeds to tolerate Roundup. So the whole thing goes down the drain. Yeah. So good news, huh? Especially if a lot of GMO opponents are my friends on Maui, and this is really good news for you. It'll take a while to percolate. You know, we should demand that our county government stop using Roundup immediately. Like I can't believe it. I went to that neighbor and said, stop this. I've identified it and you're doing it. And the next day, geez, World Health Organization, I should go work for them, huh? Legalize pot, not recreational, ban Roundup.